Hi, fifth graders. Welcome to March and Unit 6. We last week started and did the first two lessons, a review of division of fractions. Now we're going to be doing some review on addition and subtraction of positive and negative numbers. This first slide, though, is a quick mental math. Decide if the greater than or less than sign is needed in the circle. So for each problem, determine greater than, less than. You'll need to stop the video and record your answers to these four problems. When you are done, start the video again. So lesson 6.3, the learning target is that you will be able to add and subtract positive and negative numbers. We have done this already this year, and in fact, back in October, I recorded two early videos. You could go back and look at those. They're the very first two I recorded. If you want some more information, if you are feeling you need a little more practice after you see this lesson, you can go back and look at those too. So we have a young lady, and on the next slide, you'll see a young man. And on this slide, we're going to be adding positive and negative numbers on the number line. So my problem is a negative 6 plus 2. So as I look at the number line, I see that the girl is facing right. She is starting at negative 6, and she is going to walk forward 2 spaces. When I have an addition or a subtraction problem, on the number line, my little character is going to walk forward for a positive number. They're going to walk backwards for a negative number. So she started at negative 6. She's going to walk forwards 1, 2, because this is a positive 2, and she ends up on negative 4. So a negative 6 plus a positive 2 is a negative 4. For this next piece, the equation is 4 plus a negative 3. So it's an addition problem. The young lady starts out at 4 on the number line. She is, as I look at my number line, facing right. This time, however, I am adding a negative number. So I'm going to walk backwards for a negative number. We start at 4. I'm going to walk backwards 1, 2, 3, and I end up at 1. 4 plus a negative 3 is 1. As I move to the next slide, I'm going to be talking about subtracting numbers. So this time, my young man is facing to the left. We're subtracting. We were facing to the right when we added, facing to the left when we subtracted. And my problem is negative 5 minus 3. So he is standing at negative 5. I am subtracting a positive number. So I could think of this as negative 5 minus a positive 3. If I wanted to write that, so people would remember it, negative 5 minus parentheses 3. Because we know if I don't have any sign, I'm going to assume it is a positive number. So again, we learned that we walk forward for a positive number. Negative 3, walk forward 1, 2, 3. So I stop at negative 8. Negative 5 minus 3, and it's minus a positive 3, gives me a negative 8. In my next problem, I am subtracting negative 6. So again, I'm beginning at negative 2. My problem is minus a negative 2 minus a negative 6. My boy begins at negative 2. I am subtracting a negative number, so he's going to walk backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He took off on me. A negative 2 minus a negative 6 puts my young man at 4. please remember that opposites are the same distance from 0 on the number line, but they are on opposite sides of 0. So we've learned that before. The number 2 and negative 2 are the same distance from 0. And that has to do with the absolute value. We've talked about that. A negative 2 has the absolute value of 2 because it is the same distance as 2 is from 0. So that's just kind of a reminder for when you work in your journal. We've also talked about zero pairs when we add or subtract numbers. So when I've got 10 plus a negative 8, I can take my pen and I can make 10 plus signs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plus signs. And I can add to that 8 minus signs. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I've made these zero pairs because a positive and a negative will balance and equal 0. So when I make my zero pairs, when I have 10 plus a negative 8, I am left with 2. So 10 plus a negative 8 is 2. Okay, I can do it here. I have a negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To that, I'm going to add a positive 4. I see my pairs. Make them in red this time. I've got my pairs. Call them zero pairs because they balance to 0. I am left with one negative. So a negative 5 plus 4 is equal to a negative 1. So in my next picture, I've got 4. Okay, and I want to subtract a positive 6. Well, I don't have 6 to subtract, but I can make a zero pair with these numbers so that I now can subtract 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I am left with negative 2. So 4 minus a positive 6 is a negative 2. And my final problem, negative 7 and I'm going to be subtracting from that negative 7 3 of those minus signs. I have left a negative 4. So again, I can draw zero pairs to help me represent the problem. So if that helps you in any way, you can do that. 2 rules that we can remember are that subtracting a positive number is the same as adding a negative number, and subtracting a negative number is the same as adding a positive number. So you might want to write that in your notebook as a math note. Last thing is just an interesting question for you to ponder. Can you come up with an answer and explain your thinking? That's it for today's lesson.